The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Outside Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Good evening, sim racing fans. For the first time, coming to you live from Birmingham, Alabama. It's the LionHeart IndyCar Series, iRacing's premier American Open Wheel Championships inaugural event with virtual Barber Motorsports Park for tonight's Team Nailed It 90, and we welcome you into the Global Sim Racing Channel broadcast booth for a second road event in 7 races so far on the 2015 and Season 3 Championship with the LionHeart IndyCar Series. Hello once again, my name is Evan Pasoko. As always, glad to be joined by Sean Ambrose in the tower, our director Amjad Yaman down into the production hauler pushing the buttons and getting us on air tonight. Sean, road courses always providing such a unique challenge in comparison to the oval events that we see, and when you take a look at the Barber Motorsports Park, this racetrack not lacking in that department at all as these drivers get prepped for 90 miles.
Boy, and I sure hope they have prepped, Evan. I'll tell you what, man, Barber Motorsports Park down here in Birmingham, Alabama is quite the place, man. 17 really wicked turns and lots of really, really fast cornering on this track. I mean, you really got to be on your toes here. And 38 laps, whereas that doesn't seem like a lot when you're talking about that many laps, or I'm sorry, 90 miles, 2.3 mile on that track, okay? They're getting around this in just over a minute. Again, really, really fast for its size. It's not like we're at Spa or something here. We've just got this huge expanse to work with. Beautiful track, cut into the hills of Birmingham there. Just a little ways away from Talladega, the high banks of Talladega Motor Speedway. Great place. More of a really around the world considered one of the great places to go train and hone your craft because of the technical challenges this track presents. But really looking forward to this one tonight. I said 17 turns. In this configuration, we'll have 15 turns, I believe it is tonight. And again, 38 laps and just a really, really exciting event coming up. We've got a lap guide to show you. GSRC's Kevin Brown is going to take us around in the Indy DW12. Let's check it out.
All right, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC DW12, so let's do a lap around Barber. Coming up to turn 1, it's going to be a fast, blind, downhill left-hander, so the car may push wide. You have some paved runoff on the outside, but be careful not to abuse it. Then we hit the Alabama roller coaster, a long right-hander that you'll want to square off on the exit to give yourself a good launch. Be sure to drift right as you crest over 4 and then set yourself up for Charlotte's Web. This is more or less the only good passing zone, but the downhill braking makes it very easy to overshoot if you get too ambitious on the brakes. Straighten the car out, apply the gas, and now we have to get ready for Museum Corner. This is a nasty chicane where the elevation drops like crazy and you want to attack the curbs to really carry your speed through it. Just clip each of the 3 apexes, then get your right foot down as soon as you feel like you've got traction. Once again, switch across the track for 10 and 11 and just thread the needle through it. One more time and you're going to do it all over again, this time with 12 and 13. Except now there's a blind drop on entry and a huge rise on exit that sends you straight into 14 and 15. This turn feels like it goes on forever, and on top of that, it's a decreasing radius forcing you to slow the car as you steer. Hug the right on the exit to set up for 16 to try to carry your momentum all the way through this banking. Be careful not to spin it by going wide, send it through the gears, and you've finished a lap around Barber.
And that's a look at just one lap around this virtual Barber Motorsports Park. These drivers right now, in the middle of the qualifying session, have an opportunity to put down 4 laps, if possible, and a best lap towards that, going to set themselves on the grid. Right now, Jake Wright, halfway through this qualifying session, sits atop the board with a 1:07.625. That also bests his time that he posed in practice, in which he was also the fastest driver. Talking about Jake Wright, not only does he lead the championship standing, Sean, he won one race ago, at Pocono Raceway, raking home round 6 to DirtyBlinds.com 300, trying to as well translate that over into success on the road side of things. I wouldn't be too comfortable, though, up there because, as well, Jesse Vincent, we know, very familiar with this racetrack, and he sits just right in step behind him, 500ths off that time, and both these drivers still have an opportunity to put down one more lap, which they're doing right now.
Yeah, and Jesse may be sitting on that lap right now. Listen, Jesse, I talked about it in the pre-race. Jesse knows this track really, really well. He doesn't live far from here. He's been on this track many times. It's a favorite of his. It's one of the reasons they're running it this season. Jesse has had some recent back surgery in the past couple of months here, and I know that can get a little wonky on him, if I can use that term, please. So hopefully he's got enough in him to make it through the race tonight. Would love to see Jesse Vincent back up in victory lane there, but he's going to have to contend with Jake Wright, man. That kid is a hot shoe. He is good on the road. He's good on the oval. He's good everywhere, man. Jake is one heck of a driver. We met him towards the end of last season, and he's done nothing but kick butt and take names since he showed up. So look for that to be a pretty decent battle up front between old Jake and Jesse there. Can't forget about Dan Guerin or Big Joe Hassert. Big Joe Hassert pretty darn good on these road courses as well. Joe could be a factor before this is said and done tonight.
No doubt is a road course very different from an oval, more driver versus track as opposed to on the oval where it is the draft. It is one of the major, if not the most important indicative thing on how somebody's race will end. But let's look at what tonight's race is going to be like from Barber Motorsports Park. We're running, as we mentioned, 38 laps around this 2.38 mile racetrack. That times to a total of 90 miles for the team. Nailed at 90 at the end of the evening. Pit strategy, though, could be very interesting, though, for our second road course event on the Season 3 Championship, Sean. Number 15 to 17 laps, that can be very vague, but that would put you 2 laps short per fuel run if you wanted to make it all the way on one stop. That could present a situation much like we saw at Sonoma earlier this year.
It certainly could. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of these guys take it a little easy on the start, maybe fade back, and just watch that fuel. There may be some one pit strategy going on here. Easy for me to say, and we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that. I think we know who the suspects. I'll tell you what. Unacceptable Racing. They are the mileage kings. They seem to always keep those cars out longer than anybody. Watch for the boys from Unacceptable Racing tonight. They could play into that. Your Ricky Harden, James Krahula, and Tommy Ryan. Those guys will definitely be working together. And like I said, they just seem to really have a way of keeping these cars out on the track longer than everybody else. So definitely watch that team and look for a few others. I know Pierre Daigle, he has a chance or he has a tendency to play that kind of strategy every now and then as well. So we'll keep our eyes open for those guys that might be just sandbagging a little bit here for a while to save a little bit of fuel.
And after last week, this season, now 1/3 of the way in the books. If you weren't with us at Pocono Raceway for round 6, TheRiverblinds.com 300 went to Jake C. Wright. We're talking about him as he tries to go back-to-back with a win tonight. So far, that was his first win on the year. As of 1 week ago, he won that race after leading just 19 laps over top of Joe Branch, Joe Hassert, Mikel DeYoung, and Pierre Daigle finished inside the top 5 of that one. Jonathan Goke, Ricky Harden, Jason Galvin, Vincent Blumenthal, and Chris Lanini rounded out your top 10. Jonathan Goke did Dominic Carn tonight and had to settle with 6th after leading a race-high 55 laps. You take a look at our updated championship standings, Sean. It is Jake Wright atop the pile. He gained 3 spots last week. He now has a total of 234 points. And there's the gap. Dan Roper still second in points, still with 2 starts shorter than everybody else. That number going to be 3 after tonight. That driver not in the field here. Joe Hassert sits 3rd. Alan Bowes 4th. Pierre Daigle in 5th position. Although there are big names up there inside the top 5, there's a lot of big names that we don't see.
Yeah, there are. And again, the return of Jesse Vincent being one of them. Jesse certainly will be a factor in this race if he can manage to overcome some of his medical issues and make it through the race. So Jesse could get his season started off really well tonight with a big win. But you talk about some of those guys that aren't up here, and we look at the top of the board right now. Dan Guerin having a really good qualifying run. Jason Robar's looking good too. So definitely guys to watch out for as this evening goes on. But as they get ready to grid up, I can tell you we're going to see a really fast one tonight, Evan. I talked about it when we were talking about the track. just so many fast spots on this track. Turn 15 being one of the fastest. A lot of lateral G's through that turn, about 1.5 G's through turn 15 there. That's a really fast corner, man. And, these fast corners can lead to trouble. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Shouldn't be that long time-wise tonight as these drivers blaze these 90 miles off quickly. Qualifying has come to a close, and let's take you down to the GSRC starting grid. We'll recommend stack them for you, let you know where they all start. This team nailed it 90 from pole position, going to be able to held on to by Jake Wright with that 1 minute 7 second .623 lap. It's going to not only have him fastest on the board, but so far only number 1 on the evening after being fastest in practice. He'll lead us to the green flag. Alongside him, Jesse Vincent will jump up. The number 1 car goes from 3rd in practice to 2nd on the board. Dan Guerin going to start in 3rd position on the inside of row 2. Outside of him, the 7-9, Jason Robarge has a very fast drive to end hunger DuPont Rainbow Warrior inspired car. Keep an eye on him tonight as well. Joe Hassert, Sean, one of the names you pointed out during that qualifying session. Joe's going to start this race from P5, and Ian Adams will round out our top 6 with a 108.221.
All right, and then we'll go with Michael Gray in the 888. He'll start 7th tonight. Old James Grahula, number 4 in the Richardson Bike Mart Special. He'll go off 8th. Ricky Harden, Unacceptable Racing Team member. He'll go off 9th. Chris Lanini in the number 92. He will start 10th tonight. Unacceptable Racing's Tommy Ryan in the number 66. He'll start 11th. And starting 12th, the number 12, Jason Galvin.
In 13th position tonight, going to go to the 14 of Pierre Diagle. The no-name Racing Toyota starts in that unlucky or lucky number 13 spot. That'll be the inside of row 7. Outside him, you'll find the number 28 Team Indiana entry of Joe Branch, a little bit further back than where he finished 1 week ago, and would obviously like to improve on that as the night progresses. The 102 of Ronald Hacker will start this race in 15th position. His company mate on the next row in 16th spot, going to be the 105 of Mark Goodwin. Vincent Bluthenthal finds his Penske Truck Rentals machine back in traffic just a little bit. He'll start 17th, and Terry Mathinson will start in 18th.
Yes, and Alfred Shepard in the number 13, Izod Lacoste, DW12, will start 19th. Peter Edwins, number 16, will start 20th in the Dirty Blinds machine. Corey Connor, Tiger, he'll start 21st tonight. I think Corey taking a chance here from the back tonight. Mark Norbert, numbered 83, will start 22nd. George Anzalo deciding to start from the back tonight. He will be the last car on the grid. The number 6 will start 23rd.
And as always, do have a couple of drivers doing the GSRC double tonight. If you tuned in a little bit earlier on in the evening, and I emphasize a little bit because just getting wrapped up prior to this, the American Sim Racing Series Amsoil Truck Series from Chicagoland Speedway, both Ricky Harden, James Grahula, and Tommy Ryan, who finished 3rd, 5th, and 10th there tonight as well, participating in this Team Nailed It 90. Do have a couple of onboard cameras we'll be on with tonight. The Race Center onboard camera being carried by Michael Gray. We'll watch him try to fight his way through the field as he starts this one in 7th position, and as well going to have a unique view on the driver just one spot in front of him, the number 3 of Ian Adams, carrying the Mountain Dew on board.
Boy, I'm getting excited having the hair on the back of my neck. It's starting to stand up a little bit here, man. That race into turn 1 is going to be an exciting one, man. Pace car is off. I'll let you set him here, buddy.
The American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang pace car is gone. Jake Wright on the accelerator. Green flag flies, and underway we go. The team nailed it. 90s green. Already challenged for the race lead to the outside of the racetrack. Jesse Vincent. It'll give him the inside, though, into turn number 2. Deadlock through the first 2 corners.
Everybody off to
And one little lucky, but it's clear by the time they come. I apologize for the minor audio difficulty there. Green flag still out here on lap number 1, and we were able to see it up front. Jake Wright, he'll come through and complete lap number 1 as the race leader from pole. Jesse Vincent, Sean, I'll tell you what, he gave him a hell of a fight for it and looked like he was almost going to take it away. He'll have to settle, though, for second, and that time by just 0.7 of a second off the top spot for Vincent. Dan Guerin still sits in third. First change for position on track for P5 and 6. Ian Adams goes up 1 spot, and Joe Hassert falls.
Well, really, everybody's in for the whole here. Pair tackle really takes it down.
And Michael Gray just behind that in 7th still. Apologize once again, trying to work through some audio difficulties here at the moment, but this team nailed it 90, still well and underway. And Sean, what we were talking about with Jake Wright is that the fact that although this is not going to be a long race start to finish, if you got a stopwatch, you showed that track map there, and we saw the lap around. There's a lot of corners, but there's not a lot of space. And you related it to a race like Spa's got a lot of corners, but there's also a lot of green space inside the racetrack. You saw that track map. These are, I guess, every single straightaway. They're kind of circuits and they're stacked on top of each other. That means that a lot of hard turns and a lot of high braking zones, which does open up.
A lot of it, buddy, and there's a lot of Armco barriers out there, a lot of barriers, period, and they'll come up on you really quick, and man, they will damage these cars heavy. You don't get any fast repairs here in the LionHeart Racing Series, so if you wreck her, man, your night might be done here. Again, with the speed of this course, it really it could be an ender if you get off track here. I got to be really careful. So far, these guys doing an excellent job of keeping these cars in shape, and right now I'm going back to this race here between Deigel and Galvin. Those two are really going after each other pretty hard right now.
George Anzaldo, so far the only driver to be caught up in an incident. Sean spitting on lap number 1 is 2 laps down. That car is parked on pit road, and it does appear that his lap is done for all intents and purposes. However, I did see that car bleed just a little bit. Bobar's going to lose some time. That last time, a 3-car fight behind them for 5, 6, and 7. Ian Adams leads right now over Joe Hassert and Michael Gray, but none of them separated by much more than 3 car lengths.
Yeah, Joe Hassert really the one making the move right now. He's looking for an opportunity here on Adams, but again, we're taking care of the cars. Ooh, here goes Big Joe to the inside right now. Is he going to pull it off? No, Adams able to power out of the turn there and get away from Big Joe. Well, that was a little bit of a move there. Tried to make it happen. Joe couldn't quite pull it off, though, Evan.
Yeah, and Ian Adams gave him the spot, but Joe Hassert got in there a little bit too hot. You could see that because that car didn't really hug the inside of the racetrack there, so it's a good thing and a smart move by Ian Adams, Sean, to not try to shut the door on that 11 car you just mentioned as well, taking care of the race cars. You go down there, try to shut the door, you can easily chop his nose off, or if he overdrives it, he gets into you, give him the spot. If you can't do it, you get your spot, but nonetheless, you still have a race car at the end of it all, though. Hassert closing right to the back bumper, to the outside, trying to find a way through, not gonna do it yet, but he's
just
all
behind
over him.
Just behind him, Michael Gray spins. He's off in the grass. He's making his way back on the track. No damage. He spun by himself coming out of the turn.
and that's going to cost him a lot of time, though. He was 7th, exactly where he started. Typically, we like to say the car behind the battle, Sean, is at the biggest advantage because he's obviously going to catch those drivers in front of him if they are going side by side. Just got a little bit too overzealous over that final corner. Back end just went around. Good thing for him, as you mentioned. Wasn't at that high of a speed. Didn't hit anything, but does fall to 11th on track, and that's a long way back to where he was running.
Well, I'd rather take that loss of position than loss of car. So, we were talking about Ian Adams a moment ago in that battle he was having with Joe Hassard in front of that spin for Michael. But Ian running a new paint scheme this evening. He's got the blue on. He's got rid of the green in that Mazda-powered DW12. And really looking sharp there in the blue and the black as we ride on board with Ian right now.
Ian Adams fell one spot off the top of that race and was to be able to get 2 back, and now sits 5th right now after starting in 6th spot. Doesn't have an immediate challenge to present with Jason Robards. Robards is 79 in front of him in 4th. Looks about 2 seconds and change away. He's got more concerns from behind because Joe Hassard, who we have seen, is not going to be shy and try to make some moves. Still sitting behind him at the moment. And to an extent, Sean, you do want to stay in front of him. And I think Ian Adams taking the right approach so far. But also, I guess you'll get to a point in this race where you're going to be driving the car harder than you would be if that car's not behind you. I wouldn't be surprised if Ian Adams lets him go if Hassard gets to him one more time over the 3 machine, trying to pull a little bit of a gap, try to get some space there between himself and Hassard.
I'm watching some of the laps these guys are running right now in the early stages of this race, and I got to be honest with you, I'm seeing some slower laps out of people here that that would generally probably be a little bit faster, and I think maybe they are saving a little bit of that fuel. And I don't know if I want to tattletale on anybody yet, but I've got my eye on a couple of guys.
Well, 15 to 17 laps the window we're given this race, though 38 laps, and there are no full course cautions, not a possibility. The sim's going to throw a sectional yellow, and that's all you get, so doesn't matter. This thing is green through the end. What that means is it's very simple, and that you have to make it 19 laps if you want to make it on fuel. We're just about, Sean, halfway through what would be that first fuel run, so you have to keep an eye on these guys who are running a pace right now. If you look at Jake Wright of a 108.3, that's pretty good considering he's 8 laps in. I don't think that car one of the one that's saving much.
No. I would think the cars that are running around 110, a little more than 110, I think those are the guys to look out for. There's your helpful hint from Sean.
And you take a look towards the back of the field, those numbers progressively get higher on the lap times, but as well, kind of like we said in the points, although there's a lot of big names up at the top of the points, there's not a lot of them as well. Same thing here, you have the big names, Jake Wright, Vincent, Guerin, Robards, Adams, Hassard, Hardin, Lanini, Ryan, and Branch inside the top 10. But also there's guys down at the bottom like Korhula, Connor, Mathinson, Bluthenthal, and company. There could be that big strategical element to this race, at least at this point in this one. Peter Edwin's right now the last car on the lead lap in 21st.
We got something developing here, man. I got Michael Gray closing in on Michael Galvin pretty hot. He's got Pierre Daigle right behind him, man. I think Galvin might have had a little problem. That car might have gotten slowed up a little bit somehow. I might have missed it, but Gray was really coming on him quick, and I'll tell you, almost ran over him there at one point, and here he comes, Michael Gray diving in hard there on the back of Jason Galvin, and again, Pierre Daigle right behind these guys. Interesting little 3-car battle to watch here, and Mark Goodwin not too far out of that picture either there in the Izod, I forgot, is Mark the Izod car? No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Mark's not the Izod car. My bad.
I'll tell you what, Michael Gray, we saw that trouble that he had at a quarter number 15 coming to the start-finish line. Did fall to 11th. He has since lost another spot, and a big reason because of such is for the fact Joe Branch, one of the biggest movers so far in this race, albeit only 4 spots. Doesn't sound like a lot, and if that's what we were like at an oval, that'd just be about 1 corner, but 4 spots under green. Not that all of it easy of a task at Barber Motorsports Park, especially when you look at the names that he's been racing around. So Branch is up from 14th to 10th. That's another reason why Michael Gray has fallen yet again another spot to 12th position after initially falling to 11th. He is starting to get to the back bumper, though, of that number 12 machine, really taking advantage on the heavy braking corners. Could be that battle for P11 very soon, and we'll see him try to do what we've seen Joe Hasser try to do a couple times. They'll spin in front of him. He'll get too jealous, and Jason Galvin spins it, Sean, trying to give it a little bit too much. Hello, almost contact with Mark Goodwin.
Almost, man, and Jason just trying to get the car turned back around. Not able to do it real cleanly there. I mean, not as clean as he would have liked. He's got some right wing damage. He's going to have to bring that thing in for some repair, man. That car is just going to be too wicked to handle on this track, and what a bad break for Galvin there. Had a really strong run going on there, trying to hold off Michael Gray, and spins himself out and seeing the car real wiggly right now. That right front wing damage not helping his cause. He's going to have to bring it in right here, Evan.
And he's going to be forced down to the pit lane. That's the polar opposite shot of what we saw with Michael Gray. Gray was the car chasing that got a little bit too overexcited, split it out, and that time it was the car defending that got in there a little bit too hot, and very easy to lock these race cars up. Jason Galvin going to be forced down pit road. He'll get service completed, and it's going to ensure him that he'll be on that two-stop strategy. He'll only have to make one stop from here on out. Unfortunately for him, he hopes that the Provident fuel strategy does not become the one-stop strategy, and maybe he can try to salvage some sort of a decent finish. Real quick look upside at the race lead as you take a look at the battle for 7th on back. Ricky Harden fighting with company there. Chris Lanini and Tommy Ryan jumping to top 2. Kind of fluctuating lap in and lap out. Jake C. right now across the start-finish line. A 1:08.1. It's a pretty good lap time, Jesse Vincent. A 1:07.9. The gap down to just 1 second, but it's been up and down. We've seen the gap at 1. We've seen it closer to upwards of 2 seconds. Jake Wright and Jesse Vincent, they're fast and they definitely know each other's there. Wouldn't be surprised if Wright gets a little bit more out of it. He's got some lap traffic to get around, though. How would this hold him up as Galvin's in front of them?
That's right, Galvin just out of the pits, got that wing repaired. Going to have fresh tires, a little bit of an advantage on Jake Wright, but will the pure talent of Jake Wright take over here? We're about to find out. Jake looking to the inside, Jason letting him go. Jesse Vincent close in tow. He's able to get past cleanly. Jesse Vincent still on the gas, still trying to get to Jake Wright.
And there is a draft, although it's not the push necessarily that we talk about at the ovals. There is a draft, and that can be utilized at the end of long straightaways. Vincent, right now, though, he's not close enough to get into that draft to really get a big thing out of it, but he's keeping him in contact, which if you can't pass somebody, just don't let him get away. That's exactly what he's doing right now, and that's why he's still up there. The top 2 really putting on a clinic. They're 7.4 seconds plus outside of Dan Guerin, who sits 3rd, and everybody on back behind him, including those cars. Still that 3-way fight that you look at, and it's starting to accumulate some more names as well. It's all led still by Ricky Harden in 7th, Lanini, Ryan, and Branch, and gonna have a shuffle between those 2 spots as Tommy Ryan makes a move and puts that pass on Chris Lanini.
Terry Matheson in the Banshee Motorsports DW12 sitting in 16th right now. He's really working on Ronald Hacker right now, and now having to look at Vincent Blumenthal in his mirror. Good little 3-car battle going on here. These guys are fighting hard right now, all running around in the 110s. Laying back on that fuel just a little bit. We're about coming close to that window that we talked about, though. 15 to 17 laps. We're 13 going 14 laps in this race. So we've seen a few guys come in. They were towards the back of the field, so I think we'll be okay. But that window is coming up. Breaking news, maybe not breaking so much as some of you may have already noticed. Corey Connor out of the race, gone, manually disconnected. So not sure exactly what happened there, but Corey having to bow out of the race, and that's not going to be a good result for him tonight, unfortunately.
And he'll join George Anzaldo out of this race, and it looks like a spin maybe through turn number 12, attributing to that. Here comes the first swing of scheduled pit stops, though. Dan Guerin going to be coming down pit road at lap number 14. This means that car going to be on a 2-stop strategy. He gets tires, fuel, and he is out. As you continue to watch the fight up at the front of the field, Dan Guerin committing to a 2-stop strategy. He's back out and away.
Yeah, I think that's pretty that's pretty good call right there. I mean, 2-stop strategy is not too bad. I mean, you're going to have fresh tires twice, obviously.
And up front for a guy like Jake Wright, you take a look at the advantage or disadvantage of tires. Really not a whole lot of fall off in our first race here with these dynamic racetracks on the iRacing Sim. Right now working less than 1 second off at a time that he put down in qualifying, so still a very fast race car. This racetrack started with moderately low usage, and it is carried over through qualifying and through the race so far. However, there's not all that many cars out there with a field size of 23 at the start, so I don't think the rubbering into the racetrack going to be a major player in this race. Is again a relatively short one tonight from Barber Motorsports Park, but something to note as well, and it's certainly going to change the complexion of the rest of this season. Really interested to see how that works on the ovals.
Well, checking in with our leader, Jake Wright, he is catching up on the back of the field right now. Coming up on Alfred Shepard and Terry Matheson, who we were talking about just a few minutes ago. Our leaders are coming towards the back of the field here as we get closer to that pit window. Wonder if this is going to help them or hurt them, but right now Jake's starting to open it up on Jesse just a little bit. Jesse might be laying back just a bit, maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel, but still a really good race up here up front with these two.
And they continue to pass the pit road entry that time by as they sail off down to quarter number 1 yet again. A couple of more drivers completing some service. Joe Hassert has come down. Ian Adams currently in pit road. He'll pit from the number 4 running position on track right now. And the GoPro number 3 for the title sponsor on the race tonight. The Team Nailed It car down pit road for service as well. Now it's the money time for the race leaders. We were told 15 to 17 laps. They're in the middle of it all. It's very easy, Sean, to say I can get 2 more laps out of it. The leaders, though, again, would be the ones that you would expect that would not be doing that strategy. So far, though, there's some of the drivers that have stayed out the longest, continuing to lead up front, and it doesn't help that they're fighting each other. You can't think that these guys are going to be able to get 2 laps the way and how hard they've been running against each other. Nonetheless, we'll have to wait and see. Jason Robars will take 3rd at the moment as cycles of pit stops continue to go through. How about Ricky Harden up to 4th as they run, with Tommy Ryan just behind him. Jake Wright coming down pit road. So does Jesse Vincent. Again, the 2-tire call, the one to go for the race leaders.
Right, and Robarge is coming in, just made his call. Robarge, 3rd place car, bringing it in. And just behind Ricky Harden and Tommy Ryan, Joe Branch goes for a spin there. Offline and off track, but able to get the car turned around. Just lost it coming into that high-speed turn right there and spins the car around, loses valuable time. Bringing it into the pits, Joe Branch making that call now, but Ricky Harden and Tommy Ryan, guess what? We talked about it before the race. Unacceptable racing, keeping those cars out just as long as everybody. Jake Wright just came on the radio. I think he's getting ready to pit.
Hey, Joe Branch, that incident, you saw the replay, one of the first ones tonight that was not caused from somebody just losing the back end coming off of a corner. He kind of hopped that curb a little bit. The back end skidded across track, went all the way around on him. Good news for him is he may have been planning on pitting regardless, so to come down pit road, get fresh tires, and fuel up. Not the worst case scenario. Obviously, it's going to cost him in some time. How about a battle for the race lead? Goodbye, Jesse Vincent to the top of the board. He'll leave Jake Wright first, second after he makes the move in the first section of turns.
Yeah, and does it just before the pit stop there, too, and I guess not a bad time to get that car in first and get out first. So pretty good move there by Jesse Vincent. And he keeps it out another lap. And Tommy Ryan pitted just in front of them there. Tommy Ryan and Pierre Daigle making his call. He's coming in. So Ricky Harden and Tommy Ryan both in. But our leaders, Jake Wright and Jesse Vincent, they keep it out on the track.
So Vincent and Wright trying to cycle themselves back to the top spot on track. They will do so. They've already both completed a 4-tire stop and fuel, and they were side by side off of pit road, which if you're on pit road and you're in the stalls, these cars will phase through each other. But once you cross that scoring line, you're back to making contact, and that was not a lot of room coming off of the pit lane. So quite the move from Jesse Vincent to go to the outside of Jake Wright, which became the inside in turn 1. That's how he got the top spot. And Jake Wright, though, by all means not planning on letting him go, continues to reapply the pressure. Here in the 14 car, Pierre Daigle is going to be coming down pit road this time through at lap number 18. closer, but I don't think close enough maybe to do it on one stop. We'll have to see. Some of these guys trying to push it.
Oh, we got a car loose right there just outside the pit entry. Jesse Vincent and Jake Wright having to make their way by Mark Nobert there real carefully. Looks like Nobert lost it right there near the pit entry and was off track, bringing that car back up carefully, was able to do so without making contact with our leaders.
And Dan Guerin in that number 8 machine right now. He is working lap number 19, and that driver came down pit road at lap 14. So the short pit strategy call from the driver who sits third right now is exactly where he started. Doesn't gain him any track time, doesn't lose him any track time, but the good news for him is he's got well of a gap behind him. He's got a pretty good gap before he'd get to the race leaders. But for the way they're racing, I wouldn't feel all that uncomfortable in third, because Jake Wright, they're so equal at this point, the 27 and the 1. They're going to have some more lap traffic they have to work by. Ronald Hacker to the outside of the racetrack, no problem. The Eagle 1 Chevrolet getting out of the way to let the leaders go through. They are so even. Although the pass was completed, Sean, down in quarter number 1, Jesse Vincent put that pass in motion by making a better stop on pit road. Jake Wright, you would hate to lose a race from getting passed on the pit lane, and they're both still going to have to come down there at least one more time in this race. So the 27 machine, he's right there, but he can't do anything with them up at the front of the field, and Jake Wright knows that this is now lit a fire underneath him, Sean, after losing that after the cycle of pit stops, and now he might try to get a little bit more out of it on the next time, and that could be a dangerous decision to make. There's a lot going on right now inside the helmet of the driver of the 27.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm pretty impressed with what Dan Guerin's been able to do there in the Sinclair Tractor number 8 machine tonight. Looking really good. Two-stop strategy. I don't know. He's only got one left, so we'll see. Maybe not a bad call. Dan might have something up his sleeve tonight. He could sure use a win and a good point tonight. So pulling for Dan. I had a little bit of a hunch on him when we started this thing, so maybe we've got a little luck working for him and for me tonight.
And he's sitting again well in third. There's no challenge behind him. P4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all throughout there on that first run of the race have been quite a competitive area. They're starting to get some breathing room on each other. Ed Adams is 4th spot, and he's 2 seconds in front of Jason Robarge. However, Robarge maybe a little bit quicker. The DuPont Automotive finishes Chevrolet, closing in a little bit. Last time by, the gap was 2.2 seconds. This time through, the gap can fall to 1.2 seconds. So Robarge putting on some moves, qualified 2 spots higher than Ed Adams on the grid, so he might have a little bit of an advantage, especially on fresh tires. The 79 trying to take advantage of such now.
Pete Edwins off the race surface, trying to get to him now. Pete Edwins finding trouble there in that Dirty Blinds DW12. He's back under power now, but he was off the track and having a lot of trouble handling this car right now, letting Dan Guerin get by him there. He had to get out of the way. Those guys were coming pretty hot and made a good move to let Mark Goodwin and Guerin get through.
And that was one of those low-speed corners as you take a look at the fight right now. 4P6 on a racetrack around Joe Hassert. Low-speed corner, very difficult to just put the foot down and get back to the gas to not spin that machine out. That was all that attributed to the factor of that spin, so he'll have to suffer and try to get back going, and he'll fall to 19th position, but still 2 laps. And now spinner
big
Joe
Joe
Hassert right in front of the car there, just watching that fight with Joe Hassert sideways. Another one of those high-speed corners, but these guys, Sean, they cheat the banking, they cheat the heavy curve there on the inside of the racetrack. They're like the second person tonight, and I think Ricky Harden was able to get through without damage, though Hassert's got some.
Yeah, I didn't see Ricky make any contact. I believe he made it through clean. But Joe, it looks like Joe's got a little bit of damage on that left front wing there. Tough break for Joe. He may be able to wheel it with that. Joe's pretty good behind the wheel, man, and I've seen him fight a bad handling car before. Maybe he can hang on with this. We'll see. Joe, just a tough break for him there. Not used to seeing him make those types of mistakes.
The battle for the race lead resumes right where it left off, closing in on 16 laps to go. That time by, Vincent still has it. Jake Wright still wants it. The one car takes it up to the inside wall, into the corner, jumps back up, trying to break that draft on the straightaways, because now Jake Wright is in a spot where if he gets a decent run off the corner, he can build up speed by following that one machine all the way down the straightaway. That's what he does there, closes it into maybe a quarter of a car length, takes a wider turn though to avoid contact, and then falls back to 3-4 car lengths off again, off at a quarter. A game of chess up at the front of the field. And you have to ask now, Sean, these guys, if they pit now, they're good to the end of this race. Again, we talked about if anybody was going to try to do this race on one stop, they would have had to pit at lap 19. So once you get past lap 19, one stop from here on out, you're good. Both of the leaders pitted together the last time. Jake Wright lost a spot from it. I would not be surprised if a guy like that 27 to Jake Wright pits earlier than Jesse Vincent to try to separate themselves so that they don't come down together.
I gotta be honest with you, I'm thinking Dan Guerin might bring this car in any time now. We're gonna find out here real quick as they come around here almost to the entry of pit lane. I'm thinking Guerin's gonna bring this car in, get those 4 fresh tires, and no, not this lap, maybe the next one. But we know Dan's gonna have to make another pit stop, just a matter of when at this point. But man, I got a sneaky feeling it's gonna be real soon.
He's short pitted at the beginning of this race, so he does not have as much fuel as everybody else out on the racetrack, so he'll have to come down a little bit sooner. Battle for P12 at a racetrack. You're following the chaser at all of this one. Pierre Daigle right now scored in 12th position, makes the move, and is now trying to get up to the James Krahula entry, and is able to get by him. So Krahula falls down one spot. Now off track goes Pierre Daigle. A little bit overzealous into the corner. Nothing major, though. He got lucky, Sean. If you go wide on a corner and you're out in the grass, very easy for that race car to slide all the way to the fence. He was able to keep 2 tires on the asphalt, keep it going, or it is going to lose touch with himself and Krahula.
Man, I was wondering if maybe we could go to that Mountain Dew onboard cam here with Ian Adams. He's working on Mark Goodwin right now, and Ian is, I suspect he might be getting impatient, sitting in 4th. Oh, and Ian spins! Ian's around! He's got, Robar's doing a great job of avoiding him there, but Ian, boy, I almost feel like maybe we jinxed the poor guy or something, but tough spot for him to go around right there. He's back under power, but loses valuable time right there.
Just as the car that's split in front of him, Joe Hassert, comes down pit road and sits there for some damage repair. Ian Adams finds trouble of his own, and a good job while spinning backwards to turn that wheel to the right so the back end would not come in front of Jason Robards. However, Robards, what he was doing, he was all over the back bumper of him, close it in, close it in. It wasn't as clear as the battle for the race lead right now, where you can visibly see Jake Wright right on the bumper. But I'll tell you what, though, Ian Adams, he knew that Jason Robards was closing in. He saw the lap times, he saw the intervals getting smaller and smaller, tried to get a little bit more out of it, and again, just loses the back end of that race car. A lot of big names tonight having that same issue. It shows you that they're not saving anything at all. Next big thing that's going to be starting now within the next couple of laps is the final cycle of pit stops on the night. Do you run this tank dry, try to calculate how much fuel you need, or you just pit now and hope to be on a very low amount at the end? There's any different way you can play this one. Tires all a big factor in it.
Yes, they are, and guess what? Dan Guerin is in. He just came in the pits. Dan Guerin bringing that 3rd place machine in. Time to get that Sinclair tractor machine filled up, get those 4 fresh Firestones, and get this car back in the race. Try and finish on the podium tonight, Dan.
Dan comes down to pit road, going to be up on the jack, 4 tires, fuel, and away. For the driver that enters pit road from 3rd, he's off, good clean stop. Did the same thing at the start of this race, so he'll fall down the standings just a little bit. And once everybody else comes down pit road, gets their service, he'll kind of find himself back up in line and blend back on through. He'll jump out of pit road just behind Pete Edwins on the racetrack right now. Michael Gray, actually. Michael Gray and Joe Branch in front of him, so it looks like he'll be about P10 at the moment. Jake Wright has been moving forward all race long from that number 2 spot, closing the gap. Now Jesse Vincent extending that gap a little bit. You have to feel if you're Jake Wright, you got to get to him, but you can't overdrive that car, and now would be an opportunity if you're losing ground to maybe pit early, try to see what that can get you at said point. We'll have to see. The leaders, by the way, 23 seconds, Sean, away. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish this one half a lap ahead of everybody else.
Boy, they just might. They're running a pretty torrid pace right now. Jake looking really good all night. I think right now those two are really just looking forward to maybe the last 5 laps of this race, and then I think you'll see them slug it out pretty well. Right now they're content to just sit in those machines and you know, again, keep them clean and ready for the last 5 laps of the race. They're really only battling each other at this point. Nobody else is really a factor. So what you hope to see is them continue doing what they're doing and give us 5 laps of some really, really great racing. But we do have some really interesting fights going on throughout the field.
Oh, Jake Wright
just
comes down pit road and he hits the wall. Jake Wright throws this race away, came down pit road, Sean, before Jesse Vincent, and overdrove the pit lane entry road, left side hard into the tire barrier and damage.
Boy, he did hit it hard. I'm looking at some pretty significant damage on the left front there. Tough break for Jake Wright, man. Oh, I can't believe he made that mistake. And Jesse is just left all to himself. Nothing but clean racetrack, clean in front, clean behind. Jesse Vincent on a mission to win his first race of Season 3 here at the LionHeart Racing Series. Jesse is the hot shoe tonight, wearing the number 1 because he is the defending champ. And by God, if you're going to have any number as a defending champ, 1 is the way to go.
And that number 1 may be able to prevent the sweep of number 1s for Jake Wright, who, again, fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, and it looked like he was in contention to get P1 on the race again, and that would be a sweep of number 1 across the board on my screen here with the telemetry. May not be the case, as he had to sit down there to get some damage repaired. He gets back out on track. The good news, if any, is they had such a large gap that he might still be able to get a top 5 into this one. The car doesn't look all that bad. He's got to limp it around for about 10 more laps, so he will lose a lot of time. But the bad news is he probably won't be able to hang on a second. Ian Adams in the number 3 car right now is 4th, but if you look at Dan Guerin already as well completing service. He could be a name to challenge Jake Wright, slide up into 2nd, and this has rejuvenated the 8 machine, but I would not be surprised as Jesse Vincent exits pit road. He completes his service. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Vincent, Sean, now start to put down some of the slowest laps of the race. No point in taking a risk when you have such a big gap to work with. You overdrive that car, you spin, even if you don't hit anything, that immediately erases that 13-second advantage.
Yeah, well, there's no reason for Jesse to push here. Listen, Jesse's a very experienced driver, okay? I mean, he had a plan going to this race. Oh, car off just in front of Jesse there. That was Peter Edmonds in the Dirty Blinds machine off the track. Peter Edmonds trying to get back on track. Lots of cars passing him by right now, doing a good job of staying out of the way. But going back to Jesse Vincent, man, he knows how to play this game. And right now, he's almost 14 seconds to the good. No reason to push here. I mean, the victory is in sight. Just take it easy, keep the car clean, and stay out of trouble.
And that is the goal right now. Jason Robarge sits just in front of Jesse Vincent on the racetrack. Robarge yet to come down for that final stop of service. That's a fast car, and that's going to cycle him up to first position as they run right now. Obviously, when he pits, though, with the pit stop time, going to very clearly lose that advantage that he sits with. But with only 1.3 seconds ahead of him and 1 stop entirely less, it shows you just how quick of a pace that Jesse Vincent and Jake Wright were putting up. Wright sits right now 4 seconds behind Jesse Vincent and continuing to drop down and down and down. However, Jake Wright still hitting the 1:08 second lap time, Sean, so he did get significant left front damage. We saw the replay. It looks like, though, got rather lucky when he came down pit road, sat down there a couple of extra seconds for damages, and the good news for him is that that's all it took, really, to get the majority of the left front of that race car cleaned up. He's back out there. He's got a fresh car. Spinner in front of him, the 3 car around. Ian Adams now spins off of the racetrack for the second time tonight. Hello, look out. Almost pulls up in front of the driver of Jason Galvin.
Ooh, I think they made a little bit of contact there. We'll go back and look at that as we look on the replay here, man. That was, boy, that was unfortunate right there. Just Galvin really nowhere to go as he's coming through the turn, and Ian comes back up, and I don't think they did make contact. They were able to avoid it, but Ian's having to bring that car in. He's calling for a pit stop now.
And Ian Adams has to come down pit road. This will be his second stop on the night, the final one as well for him. He'll be good to go from here on out, but the second time that he has spun and followed immediately up by a pit stop so far tonight. So he had Adams coming down to the pit lane. Jesse Vincent could probably make a move on Jason Robards right now. You see him sitting 0.6 of a second behind him, but he has 5.3 seconds back to Jake Wright, so there's no need for him to. He just wants Robards to come down pit road sooner than later in the lead.
Yeah, and when Robards does, I mean, Garen's already worked his way back up to 4th, so Dan right now, if he could just keep it up, keep that car going in the right direction, man, Dan's looking at a possible podium finish here tonight.
13 drivers on the lead lap right now as we cycle through the bulk of the second swing of pit stops, and the team nailed it. 90 looks to be all but in the bag for Jesse Vincent. And a big question into tonight, Sean, with the absence of the one the last couple of races, was that can he get through this race? Well, it's going by at a rather escalated pace, just about 40 minutes off of the drop of the green flag, and already within the final now 7 laps to go in this race. You cut it nice and short. That's exactly what we would like. We saw him do it earlier in the year, coming off of the back pains, and ran good for maybe the first hour, then had to give it up. So the shorter race length of this road course, plus being pretty familiar with the track itself, all playing into Vincent's factor.
Yeah, it looks like Joe Branch, Michael Gray battling it out right now. We're on board with Michael Gray right now, and checking that move out right there. He's trying to get in front, and not able to pull it off quite yet, man, but that onboard camera looking really, really slick there tonight with Michael Gray. And
you can see the run he gets there on the straightaway up to the back bumper of the 28 machine, and you saw when you were on board, look at this on the outside, trying to take it the long way around the scenic route. Not going to be enough for Michael Gray to get the pass, but you saw right there on board with the race center on board, he gets to the gearbox, how quickly that car closes in, now to the inside and side by side.
And there he goes, making that move to the inside. And if we're still with that race center onboard camera, that was a heck of a move right there. He's able to just get a nose in front of him. Man, it's a drag race right now. Here we go into the turn.
Oh, an almost close call there to the outside. Contact! Michael Gray sideways. He'll hang on to it. Relatively minor. If you're going to make contact, you want it to be like that, Sean. But the problem is, he had the advantage, but he lost it, because then it put Joe Branch in the advantage into the next quarter. He did a very smart thing through that little section. This is now the 28 car. Trouble just in front of him. Joe Branch now spins it out and loses the spot.
And I can't help but to think Michael Gray might have a little smile on his face right now. Joe Branch maybe just overdriving that car a little bit. Feeling pretty good about that move he made on Gray. Michael Gray having to lock all 4 up there in that turn to avoid anything worse than what he got from Joe Branch. But Joe, tough break for him, spinning off right there. And Michael Gray gets away clean and holds on to that 8th spot.
And Dan Guerin going to now complete the pass on the 7-9 of Jason Robards. Robards falls that position after having to come down pit road and complete his final stop. And tonight again, Dan Guerin did it much earlier, trying to make it another Team Nailed It car on the podium in this one. They surround Jake Wright, and Jake Wright closing in, Sean, on your race leader. The sim can be funny at times. You'll see contact. It doesn't look bad. The car is junked, and you'll see what looks like a pretty big hit and not affect the race car much at all after a quick stop for repairs. It is 2.8 seconds back, so it is relatively unattainable as long as nothing happens to Jesse Vincent, but still, Jake Wright remarkable to still be even in this race, nonetheless running in second position.
I can't imagine Jesse Vincent letting anybody beat him at this point. Just knowing Jesse the little bit that I do, and knowing what type of racer he is, I just, again, for a second, I just can't imagine him letting anybody beat him. What he's doing right now is he's doing because he wants to do it. I mean, there's a chance he could get to the car in front of him and maybe use him as a pick to slow Jake down a little bit. But right now, at this point, Jesse's on the pedal and right now just digging for the finish right now, Evan.
And he's not all that far from home. Next time around, it's going to be just 3 laps to go at Barber Motorsports Park. Not long from home in this racetrack, not far from home for the driver of the number 1 machine of Jesse Vincent. One of the main storylines into tonight was that you said, Sean, before we went on, if he has the race lead early, he'll win this one. However, maybe a third in practice and a second to qualify. It was almost surprising to see out of the one car. If you're going to keep improving, though, do it through the race. Don't peak too early. And again, continues to lead 2.3 seconds in front of Jake Wright. Spinner just in front of your race leader. One car on the side of track. Pierre Deigel, heavy damage on the number 14 machine. He'll be forced to pit road, and he's done after running in 13th.
Yeah, and he has to take the tow to pit road. Tough break for Deigel. He was, having a decent race there. Was possibly looking at a top 10 to fight for, and tough break. He's out, and that's a shame. But Jesse Vincent still up here running away with it. Jake Wright really not making up much ground at this point. Jesse seems to be the faster car, but maybe just a few tenths of a second, Evan.
And a couple of drivers close on track. You have Tommy Ryan, Ricky Harden, not all that far apart in 6th and 7th. Those two drivers very familiar with themselves, that if they get to battling, you got to remember that they don't have fenders like they did a little bit earlier on in the evening. As well, pretty close between Joe Branch, James Krahula. That would be a fight for 10th and 11th on track. Over Dan Guerin, 3rd right now, Sean, was only 8 seconds off of the race leaders before he pitted, lost significant time and all of that, now 25 seconds off. He's hoping Jason Robarge doesn't get any additional speed. Again, he passed Robarge after Robarge had to pit. Robarge, though, a little bit fresher tires and running just a little bit better lap times, lap in, lap out, maybe a second quicker each time. Good news working with the 8 cars that not as many as 4 laps to go to make up said time.
Yeah, well, you know what? Dan Guerin better put that... He better lift the plow and put that Sinclair tractor machine in high gear and get moving, baby, because podium finish would be a great finish for him, and does not want to let Jason Robarge get back into this thing. And I had to talk about that race by Tommy Ryan and Ricky Harden. They get out of their trucks over there on the ASRS side, and they come out here and somehow find a way to find the speed around 15 laps of Barber Motorsports Park and put themselves in a top 10 position. Great run for unacceptable racing. Not bad for James Krahula. I'm sure he would have liked to done a little bit better tonight, but still having a pretty good run on the lead lap, running in 11th place right now.
Jesse Vincent still well out and clear. The gap shrinks to 1.8 seconds for your race leader. Still plenty enough of a bubble to work with, to the point where he does not need to force that race car into an uncomfortable position. Good news is, for the most part, track is clear in front of him. He's going to have to work around Chris Lanini, and once he gets to Lanini, though, Sean, you've got Hacker, you have as well Krahula, and you have Joe Branch. Jesse Vincent hopes that he doesn't catch those lap machines in this next lap. White flag in the air. He only has 1.3 seconds to work with and 4 cars to get around.
Boy, I'll tell you what, talk about catching somebody at a bad spot on the track. Maybe Jesse will have to catch these guys here, but I got a feeling Jake's not going to let up any. He's going to come full bore, so I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting to watch as they get around the last couple miles of this track, Evan.
Jake Wright not there yet. Jesse Vincent a little bit slower out of the left-hander of turn 6 than he would have liked to come into the sharp S turns through 7 and 8, down through 8 to the back straightaway on the racetrack. It looks like Vincent may not get to them. The 2 cars immediately in front of him, Chris Lanini, Ronald Hacker, not a fight for position. So if Jesse Vincent were to get to them, I would imagine they'd get out of the way. Now into the final section of the racetrack, though. Jake Wright still sits behind him. Can he hang on to the final gap?
Back here, Krahula trying to put the move on Joe Branch. Looking for any spot he can get the nose of that DW12 in, but we're back to back to Jesse Vincent here. They're just behind that action.
And checkered flag will fly, and Vincent gonna take the win. And the team nailed it 90 from Barber Motorsports Park. Lost another 4/10 of a second on that final lap, but thankfully it's a 38-lap race, and not to satisfy my OCD at a 40-lapper, because if it was 40, Sean, that would have been a lot more difficult, and maybe a little bit of a mini heart attack. Jake Wright give it to Jesse Vincent. Hell of a push by the 27. I don't know how he finishes in second. You'll find the battle across the start-finish line, though. Joe Branch trying to get around James Krahula. One of the final pushes.
Well, Krahula got around Branch, and now Branch trying to take it back, but, man, I don't think Krahula's going to have any of that, sir. Krahula really wheeling it right now. Fending off Joe Branch, not going to make a move there. Oh, closes the door on him right there as he makes the move into the turn. And Joe Branch.
They're in front of him.
Oh, just in front of them, yeah.
Michael Gray around. Michael Gray's going to lose 2, 3, and 4 spots on the final 2 corners of the racetrack. Chris Lanini not going to be able to get the Ronald Hacker. Joe Branch side by side, not going to be enough, though, to get a spot on James Kurhula. And talk about a shuffle in the bottom 5 and lead lap on the last lap.
Man, unacceptable racing. All 3 of them in the top 10 tonight. Those guys get out of their Chevrolet Silverados and come on over here and just kick butt in the Indy cars tonight. Really proud of those guys. What a great run for Unacceptable tonight. But man, congratulations to our race winner, Jesse Vincent. Welcome back, Jesse. Great to see that number 1 in victory lane tonight.
And it was a quickie at Barber Motorsports Park, just 50 minutes, green to checker. That's exactly what Jesse Vincent wanted to see. A rather physically tasking race at Barber on these road courses can get you always turning that wheel left, right, and with those back issues, he did not want an elongated race. Got his hopes, had to fight for it, did not even start up front, so had to make a pass under green flag conditions, did everything he needed to. He celebrated, and he'll bring it into the virtual Gatorade Victory Lane. And we'll talk to him in just a moment. We'll step away for a brief second, though, on the Global Sim Racing channel. You're watching the LionHeart IndyCar Series on GSRC, the post-race show for the Team Nailed It 90 in the virtual Barber Motorsports Park. Coming up in just one moment. Stay tuned. Back live at the virtual Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. The LionHeart IndyCar Series on GSRC. Another chapter in the books tonight as round 7 of 18 in the Season 3 championship is done. And the Team Nailed It 90 goes to a Team Nailed It driver. Jesse Vincent from 3rd in practice through 2nd in qualifying to the top spot as you take a look at the GSRC race results. Holds on at the end over No Name Racing's Jake Wright. Dan Guerin, another Team Nailed It driver, sits in 3rd. And Jason Robards, another one of the No Chance Racing drivers as well, comes home in 4th position in this race. Tommy Ryan comes home just 1 spot behind in 5th. Unacceptable Racing, a strong run in the trucks and as well and the Indy cars tonight as they come home 5-6. Ricky Harden just 1 spot behind him. Ian Adams, late race spins a couple of times, able to walk away with the top 7 after starting in 6th spot. Joe Hassert falls 3 to 8th spot. James Krahula finishes this one at 9th position, and Joe Branch would round out our top 10.
Yeah, and coming home in 11th tonight, Chris Lanini has started 10th and finishes 11th. Not a bad night. Michael Gray finishes 12th tonight. He was the last car on the lead lap. Jason Galvin, who we saw have a pretty good spin there, lost some time. He finishes 13th tonight. Alfred Shepard comes home 14th. Vincent Blumenthal, 15th. Ronald Hacker, 16th. He was the last car, 1 lap down. And then we go back to Mark Goodwin in 17th, 2 laps down. Peter Edwin's not a great night for the Dirty Blinds machine, but he does move up 2 places. Finishes 18th, 3 laps down. Pierre Deigel, some tough luck there at the end. Really damages the car bad. Comes up 5 laps short. Finishes 19th. Not a great run for Pierre tonight. Was really fast in practice and just didn't translate to race pace tonight. Mark Nobert closes out the top 20, 19 laps down. He finishes 20th in a number 83 machine.
And to continue upon the list of drivers that had some problems tonight, the Banshee Autosport number 18, Terry Mathinson, wrecked coming out of pit road on lap 15. He'll have to settle with a 21st place result. Corey Connor, trouble on lap number 8. Put him out of the race early, 22nd position for him, 31 laps down. And George Anzaldo, trouble on the opening lap of this Team Nailed It 90. Hard contact with the wall and absolutely no chance to get that machine fixed. He'll have to settle with exactly where he started, and that is at the back of the spot, and he rounds out your 23-car grid from Barber. Going to get caught up now with some of the drivers. We'll kick things off. Sean Ambrose here with the driver that started in 4th and finished in 4th as well. By the way, he was the 4th fastest car in practice. A very consistent night for Jason Robards and a good finish.
Well, we've got down here back to the hauler here with Jason. Jason, that's a pretty solid run, man. How you feeling right now?
Sean, I'm sitting here in a pool of sweat. Let me tell you, that was crazy.
It was crazy, man. Cars just scattered all over the track. And now, listen, I know this season hasn't been, well, you haven't had the best of luck to this point. But you got to be just absolutely thrilled with this finish tonight.
Yeah, man, super excited. This season hasn't been the best, but you just got to keep on going. You know, I have great teammates, Jason, George, and Pete. No Chance Racing. We just got to keep going.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Again, really glad to see you up here running with the big boys tonight, and it's going to be a nice chunk of change for you there in the championship fight. Still, lots of racing to go. We go into the next race here. You think this is the momentum you needed to get yourself into the championship hunt?
Oh, definitely. If not, at least get me up there, you know, top 20, top 15, maybe top 10. We'll see. We'll see what happens at Michigan. But I'm feeling really good. Great teammates. I mean, this is our reign to the top right here.
Yeah, we talk about getting out to Michigan. Certainly a much different type of race we're going to see there. So we'll do 100 laps at Michigan, and I think we all know what kind of racing that provides on that wide open track and how fast these DW12s get around. Really look forward to seeing you there in the Autism Awareness 200 next week, and wish you the best, sir, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, guys. Just want to say you guys do a great job, and just another shout out to George for all the hard work he puts in. Hope you guys have a great night.
All right, travel safe, my friend. We'll see you soon. Going to catch back up with Evan here. I believe he has reeled in our third place finisher tonight. He's going to check in with Dan Guerin and talk about that great run he had in the Sinclair tractor machine tonight for Team Nailed It.
And we've caught up with Dan Guerin down on the pit lane. Starts in third, finishes in third, and we were talking about the slight chance of seeing some pit strategy like we saw at Sonoma, not meant to be the window of fuel, just not enough to make it 90 miles at one stop. So if we saw anything at a pit stops, it was from the driver of the 8, Dan Guerin, short pitting on both of the cycles, and is able to walk away with the third place finish, 3 seconds in front of Jason Robards. Dan, congratulations not only on the strong run, but as well trying something a little bit different, seeing what you could get out of it. What was that race like from start to finish?
Oh, thanks. It was very nerve-wracking for like the first 5 laps. I was just shaking the whole time. I kept telling my team, I'm like, I need to calm myself down. This is not going to work out if I don't. So, but yeah, definitely a good run. Started third, finished third. Can't ask for a better night than that.
Very strong run nonetheless. Barber Motorsports Park, second road course event on the season. And, I guess to an extent, somewhat similar to Sonoma, except the grass along the racetrack here actually green, unlike the more of a sand like we saw before. But at a track like Barber, very similar to Sonoma, is the fact that there's not a lot of runoff space. You miss a corner, you're in the grass, you're in the sand very quickly. We saw a lot of guys struggle on tonight. What was one of the keys to keeping that car out of trouble there on this track?
Well, I about spun myself out though on the hairpin, but my main problem on that whole track is that second chicane right before the hill. I wrecked there so many times. I wrecked there last night, but I kept going, dropped back to 15th with Ian, and we both worked our way back up to second and third. So, but I just knew if I kept my car clean, kept it on the track, I could have a good night.
Your second top 5 on the year, and congratulations, you're up to 16th at a point. You gained 10 spots after tonight's race at Barber. Obviously exciting news for you to be able to try to keep that charge, I guess, going forward, because as of last week, 1/3 of this season now already down and into the books. We already look forward, just coming off of an off week, which means we have a couple of races here back to back and back for at least a month and change. We're not going to have another break till we get into November. So we'll be back on track in 1 week's time for the Autism Awareness 200 at Michigan International Speedway. A big banked 2-mile D-shaped oval. Nothing like we'll see until we get to the season, later on in the season when you head back to Auto Club Speedway there as well. Very big racetrack. How are you going to approach it?
Well, last year didn't approach very well, but ended up getting wrecked. This time, I'm just going to, again, take it easy. I'm way down at the points right now. Have not had a very good start to my season, but, just keep hammering away at it.
We wish you the best of luck in that, but as well, Danny, get the job done tonight. Strong podium finish. Anybody want to thank what we got you here?
Oh, yeah, definitely need to thank my teammates. Team Nailed It. Jesse, congratulations on the win. Ian, nice job getting a top 10. Michael, good job with you too. And Corey, unfortunately, had an issue earlier in the race, but, got excellent team here. And, again, like to thank the league itself, so.
Well, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us. The Team Nailed It number 8 car comes home third in the Team Nailed It 90 again, Dan. Congratulations. Best of luck. Hopefully we'll talk to you again post-race at Michigan.
Hopefully. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
And again, that is Dan Guerin. Sean comes home third tonight. A very strong run for one of the Team Nailed It drivers. And the Team Nailed It guys wanted to try to sweep the podium, at least take the top 2 spots. The 27 had a different say in all of that. And Sean, you've caught up in the pit lane, but the driver who at one point looked like he was going to lead it all the way and gave your race winner a hell of a scare at the end. You're with P2, Jake Wright.
All right, I am with Jake Wright in the No Name Racing Toyota. All right, Jake, 2 more laps. Is that what you needed right there, buddy?
I'm not sure if I could do it in 2 more laps because I was using push to passes every chance I had, and I just ran out.
And you ran out there at the end, man. I'll tell you what, you were digging hard and you were closing fast, and Jesse coming up on that traffic there. But what a great job putting it on the pole, and really the early stages of this race, you made it pretty hard on Jesse to get to you. So what a great effort tonight, man.
Yeah, it took a lot of practice to be able to stay in front of Jesse because he is fast at this place. But great win for Jesse, and it was a lot of fun.
So that being said, with the practice, how much time did you actually put in this over these last 2 weeks here since we left Pocono?
I would say well over 100 laps, maybe even 150 or so, because it's a very tricky road course to get the hang of.
Yeah, I gave up after a couple of 2 hour sessions. I figured I wasn't racing and I was just broadcasting, so I didn't have to be good. I'd leave that to the professionals like you guys. What a great run tonight, and you know, to be really honest, a pretty clean affair out there. You guys didn't have much trouble getting around the back markers tonight, did you?
No, not at all. They were all very great at getting out of the way. Yeah.
I almost feel a little guilty by calling them back markers. We'll just say the guys that were towards the back of the field did a really good job of getting out of the way, but definitely great conditions to race under. And it seems like your strategy almost didn't pay off for you there at the end. That was a pretty hard smack you took bringing her into the pits there, Jake.
Yeah, it was a last-second decision, so I wasn't too prepared to go onto the pit lane, but just dove it in a bit too hot and hit the wall, but luckily I was able to get it out and get the wing replaced.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was my thought to myself immediately when I saw you pull off. I said, I think he surprised himself a little bit and caught just a bit of that wall, but it looked more significant than it was. A car handled fine, apparently, when you came out of the pits because you were still turning 107s.
Yeah, I think I hit the wall just nose first, no suspension damage, nothing like that, so I got pretty lucky.
All right, so we head to Michigan. You finished first at Pocono. You come over here, you take a second place, and then we head to Michigan. What are you thinking here? You gonna maybe go for another win? How does Michigan play into your skill set, sir?
I'm thinking top 7, as Michigan doesn't seem like the type of track I do the best at because it's, I'm assuming a lot of push, and again, I haven't done any racing there. It's one of my new tracks, so I'm thinking top 7, maybe top 5 if I'm lucky.
Well, you do hold on to that championship lead with a lot of racing left to go, but I got to be thrilled with this second place tonight. Again, it keeps you at the top of the sheet, and you know, with the points lead you had going in, you can keep finding those top 5, top 10 finishes. You could be in this thing right to the very end. We certainly wish you the best, sir, and look forward to seeing you in Michigan.
Look forward to seeing you guys there.
All right, my friend, you travel safe with that no-name racing team, and we'll see you up in Michigan here next week. That was Jake Wright, your second place finisher. We're going to head on over to Evan and into the virtual victory lane with the great Jesse Vincent.
And that's right, we've caught up in the virtual victory lane at Barber Motorsports Park, a familiar place. Jesse Vincent back on the top step at a LionHeart IndyCar Series with his win here tonight. The Team Nailed It car takes home the Team Nailed It 90. Jesse, your guys' team on the name of the race, this racetrack, very, very close to you as well with everything you've gone through this year. We know you wanted that win. You got it, and it was quite an interesting one. Started from second, looked like you had the lead from Jake Wright on the opening lap, had to settle for second, and then you passed him exiting pit road. What was that like?
As my dad would say, pucker factor Zulu. I didn't necessarily mean to do that, but I got to his outside, and I'm thinking, you know what, this is probably my best shot to pass him. Took it. Sorry, Jake. Didn't mean to scare you so much, if I did scare you as much as I scared myself. Yeah, turn 1, I thought, or not turn 1, lap 1, I thought I probably could have had him. But, you know, we went through that corner, then we're coming up on turn 4, coming over the hill. Tried to give him a bit more room than I should have, clipped the curve, got a little squirrely, and had to lift and let him go.
Well, they get the job done, and, you know, in a season where it's not going to be an opportunity for you to, again, fight for the championship, you know, coming into tonight's race, again, hoping that this race wouldn't last that long, and being just 50 minutes green to check, you're able to make it through. How are you holding up out there in the race car?
Throughout the day, ever since I left work, I've been applying every type of topical cream, like Asper cream with lidocaine in it and that fun stuff. All of that, ice patches to make damn sure my back felt good enough for this race tonight. Because if there's any race, I was complaining the last couple of seasons that they didn't have this track on the schedule because it's one of the few tracks that IndyCar actually runs at. And, you know, I live only a couple hours away. I've been to every IndyCar race here. I've been to every practice here. I've been to super bike races here. But, yeah, I know this place like the back of my hand, and I wanted it on the schedule so bad. And there was no way in hell I was going to miss this race.
Well, you'll join the list of winners this season, and then maybe in season 4, when we come back to Barber Motorsports Park, we can say that this race now has a defending race winner, and your name will be in that slot. 7 races down, still 11 to go. What's the outlook for you and that number 1 team for the rest of this season 3 championship?
I'm not sure. At this point, I figured I could retire. I got the race I wanted, at least for this season. It kind of depends on how my back feels for the rest of the season. I've started physical therapy again. Hopefully that's going to help it enough to where I can stay in the car for more than a couple hours without having to spend the entire day giving self-therapy to be able to sit down for a couple hours it takes to do one of these.
I'll tell you what, a lot of guys look at a schedule and they'll circle the one that they want, or they'll circle the ones that they think they can get. Not many people are able to execute in the situation, especially in a race like this where you had the 27 right in front of you and he was all over the back of you. You keep calm under the pressure and you get the one that you circled. You're a winner at Barber Motorsports Park and LionHeart IndyCar Series. Jesse, sponsors, shout-outs, all of those good people behind the scenes who powered that Team Nailed It number 1 machine to the win in the Team Nailed It 90.
Obviously, got to thank my teammates for the Michael Gray. I think he was the one who put up the money to sponsor this race. Ian, Dan, Corey, all of them, keeping an eye on where the spins were and all that fun stuff. But unfortunately, none of them were really in a bad enough position to where they volunteered to be guinea pigs to see if we needed to take tires or not on that last stop. Thank Jim Crowell with whatiscookingnow.com. The league, obviously, George. Got to thank George. Got to thank Tony. Unfortunately, Tony couldn't be here. And I also got to thank Jake for racing really clean tonight. I almost bumped him a couple times. Jake's probably one of the best additions to this league we've had in a while, so I got to give props to him, too.
Well, you get the job done. The winner at Barber, that's exactly what you wanted, Jesse. I do want to thank you for sticking around and chatting with us. We'll let you get back with those teammates that you named. Go celebrate this win, and I guess we'll see you when we see you. Best of luck.
All right, thank you, guys. See you next time.
And Sean, for the virtual victory lane, Jesse Vincent got the one that he wanted. And like I told him, a lot of the time, you'll go to a hometown race, you'll circle it, you want it, and it doesn't happen tonight. The stars aligned.
Yeah, well, the top 3 finish, the top 3 qualifiers finish on the podium. Great racing here tonight at Barber Motorsports Park. A real treat to watch this one, a fast one. I talked about it in the pre-race. We knew it was going to be fast. Talked about Jesse Vincent being one of those fast guys to watch, and he doesn't disappoint tonight. Always fun to watch Jesse go fast on these road courses. But next week, we head to the Irish Hills of Michigan, in the southeastern corner of Michigan there, and a little village of Brooklyn there, Michigan International Speedway. Hit the banks there in Michigan, and these cars will be wide open for 100 laps next week. And if you thought it was fast tonight, brother, it's going to be fast next week. So we'll see you there, and really look forward to getting to Michigan and watching these guys turn 100 laps there at some of the highest speeds we'll see all season.
In Michigan, the site of the inaugural race ever in the LionHeart IndyCar Series as well. Very similar to Auto Club Speedway, which every season so far has determined a champion and will do so again this year. The speeds are going to be up there. You're absolutely not going to want to miss that one. And you don't need to wait because it's going to be just 1 week from tonight, next Wednesday, from MIS. That wraps things up, though, tonight from Barber Motorsports Park. A lot of people we need to thank on our end of things here at the Global Sim Racing Channel. Do need to thank iRacing.com, Motorsport Simulations LLC as well, XSplit, the Audio Technica Corporation, and Aver Media USA. A big thank you to the LionHeart administration team for Georgia Ansaldo, Jesse Vincent, Tony Lurcock, everything they do to make this league possible. And if it wasn't for the league, Sean, we wouldn't have something to do with these guys on a Wednesday evening. It's always fun to be a part of the LionHeart IndyCar Series. Additional thanks to Dougie Beard for providing us with the camera sets and the camera angles you see on tonight's broadcast, and to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde for providing us with the music you hear throughout the stream. Their information on screen. Make sure you give them some support for supporting us here on our end of things on the sim. If you want to stay up to date with the Global Sim Racing Channel, you can online at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. Also on aspects of social media, we're on Twitter at GSR Channel, or through our Facebook page at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Going to take a look at some of the upcoming events, a lot of different aspects of racing throughout the coming days and coming weeks on GSRC. But the big one you want to circle is next Wednesday, September the 23rd at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time, the LionHeart IndyCar Series Round 8 from Michigan International Speedway. 100 laps, 2 miles around every single time. It's 200 miles in the Autism Awareness 200. Until next time, on behalf of the GSRC broadcast crew tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Sean Ambrose, and our director, I'm Jed Yamid, we thank you so very much for tuning in. Congratulations to the hometown boy, Jesse Vincent, wins at Barber Motorsports Park and becomes the 5th different winner so far through 7 races on the year. Congratulations to him and Team Nailed It. Good night from Barber Motorsports Park, and we'll see you in 1 week's time from the Irish Hills of Michigan. Good night.